They called him Elias Crow, the caged mountain man. Not because he was kept behind bars, but because he had built a cage around himself. A fortress of timber, wire, and silence high above the valley. Folks in the town below said he was dangerous, half-wild, and haunted by something so dark that even the wolves avoided him. Most of it wasn't true. Some of it was. Elias had once been a trapper who worked the high ridges. Kind man by all accounts, until a winter storm, a fire, and a tragedy that took his entire family. After that, he came down the mountain only once, long enough for the townspeople to see a hollow-eyed man who flinched at every sound. After that, he vanished back into the wilderness and locked the world out. 3 years passed. Then a letter arrived. The town's postman nearly refused to carry it up the trail. "Nobody goes there," he said. "Not if they want to come back." But the letter came with a return seal from the Eastern Brides Registry, a mail-order service that paired lonely men with women willing to start new lives in the frontier. And it was addressed to Elias Crow. The woman who arrived with it did not look afraid. Her name was Clara Mayfield, a schoolteacher from Pennsylvania whose parents had died of fever, leaving her alone with little more than a suitcase and stubborn hope. The registry had matched her with Elias because, on paper, he owned land, a cabin, and had once written a gentle letter about wanting a quiet life with someone who won't give up on me. Clara believed that. The townsfolk tried to stop her. "He's not right," a shopkeeper warned. "He's violent," another said. "He's cursed," whispered a third. Clara smiled politely and kept walking. By the time she reached the mountain trail, snow was falling again. By the time she reached the cabin, her boots were soaked and her fingers numb. But she knocked anyway. 3 times. The door did not open. "Mr. Crow," she called. "My name is Clara Mayfield. I've come a long way to meet you." Inside, Elias stood frozen. No one had said his name out loud in years. He did not want to open the door. He did not want to hear her voice. He did not want to see another human face that could look at him with pity or fear. But the knocking continued. Finally, he opened it just a crack. Clara saw a tall, broad-shouldered man with a thick beard and eyes that looked like they had seen too many winters. He looked like someone who had forgotten how to be around people. "Go away," Elias said, his voice rough. "You don't belong here." "I belong wherever I choose to stand," Clara replied softly. "And I choose to stand here." Elias stared at her, stunned by her calm. "You're going to get hurt," he said. "I already have," she answered. "That's why I'm not afraid anymore." Something in her words broke through his defenses. He opened the door wider. Clara stayed, not because Elias was kind, not because he was welcoming, but because she could see that beneath the silence and fear was a man who had once loved deeply and had never forgiven himself for surviving. The first days were awkward. Elias barely spoke. Clara cooked, cleaned, and talked to the empty room as if it were a classroom full of students. She read aloud by the fire. She hummed songs while washing dishes. Slowly, the cabin felt less like a cage. One night, as the wind howled outside, Clara finally said what she had come to say. "I know this is strange," she began. "We're strangers, but I didn't come here for comfort. I came because I believe people deserve second chances. So, will you marry me?" Elias dropped the cup in his hand. "You don't even know me," he said. "I know you're lonely. I know you wrote to the registry because you didn't want to die alone. And I know that fear doesn't make you a bad man." He turned away, trembling. "You don't understand," he whispered. "Everyone I love gets taken from me." "Then love me anyway," Clara said gently. "Let me choose the risk." For a long time, Elias said nothing. Then, quietly, "Why?" Clara smiled. "Because even the most broken places can grow something beautiful if someone is brave enough to plant a seed." The townspeople were shocked when Elias brought Clara down the mountain a week later. Whispers followed them. Eyes watched them. Some were afraid. Others were simply curious. Clara held Elias's arm, not tightly, but with trust. "He's not what you think," she told them. "He's just someone who was hurt. Over time, Elias began to change. He spoke more. He smiled sometimes. He helped fix fences and carried supplies for neighbors who once feared him. Clara taught school in the mornings and spent evenings reading by the fire with him. And slowly, the cage around his heart began to open. One spring morning, Elias stood outside the cabin, watching Clara hang laundry in the sunlight. "I was wrong," he said. "About what?" she asked. "About thinking I was beyond saving." She looked at him with the kind of smile that makes a man believe again. "People don't need to be saved," she said. "They just need to be seen." Elias took her hand. This time, when he spoke, there was no fear in his voice. "Yes," he said, "I will marry you." They were married in the little church at the edge of town. The same people who once whispered now filling the pews. Clara wore a simple dress. Elias wore his cleanest coat. When the pastor asked if anyone objected, the room stayed silent. Not because people were afraid, but because they finally understood. The caged mountain man was never a monster. He was just a man who needed someone brave enough to knock on his door and refused to walk away.